Hey, what's going on, everybody? Abe, the Data Strangler here, going to go over today how to use and build conditional columns in Power Query to get specific information for an Excel report. So the first thing I always like to do before I'm working with any data that I know the data source is going to be Excel, I like to make sure from the stakeholder or wherever I'm getting the data from, that the data that's going to be feeding this report is directly from the source system. It's super important to make sure all your data is from the source system, because if it's not from the source system and it gets passed around before it gets into your report, eventually that's just going to lead to it not working because it's not going to be consistent and the same. So always remember, if you're working with data, especially in Excel or CSV format, make sure you're always getting data from the source. So one of the things I like to do as well is look at the data set. Make sure I understand like how many columns and rows I have here. Control right, go down, control down. Okay, and then I can already check to see that these rows I'm going to have to get rid of with the table top rows remove function, which I will show right here in a second in Power Query. But next step, going to go to the folder setup. So moving on from going over the raw data, I'm going to be talking over folder setup. So when I'm working with Excel reports or any reports that have Excel or CSVs as a source, I always like to set up a data folder. So where I'm going to have the report, and then a report folder where my report's going to live. So here is where my raw data lives, in this data folder. So for now, I'm just going to create a blank Excel book worksheet and then get this data in here. So I'm just going to name this report. Going to open it up right here. And here is our blank Excel sheet. So the next thing I'm going to do is insert the data. So I'm going to go to data, get data, from file, from folder. Going to navigate where I have that data set. Go here, click open. Going to transform the data, and it's going to open up right here in Power Query. Next step I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit this combine files. It's going to evaluate the query. And all these helper queries are going to pop up on the side after I select employee information. And here's all the data. So the first step that's always important when you're doing from file, from folder, is I always forget to turn off these change data types, but let's get rid of that right now. So because this data set is connected from a folder, it's always super important to do any transformation steps here in this transfer sample file query. Reason why is because it will do it for other files in the future that are going to go into that data folder. So here, first one, I'm going to do the remove rows, remove top rows. See, I need to get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remove the top 6 rows. Awesome. Or wait, I think I made a mistake. Top 5 rows. Yep. Top 5 rows. Yep. Then I'm going to use first rows as headers, and it's going to change the type automatically. So now in the future, whenever new files go in that folder, it will do these same steps as long as it's the same data source data file. So we're going to begin this next part of this report building is to get rid of columns that we don't need. So this data set has around 60 columns, and we don't need all of that to build the report. So I'm just going to go to choose columns and remove all the other columns. So I'm going to keep source name. I always like to keep it just so I know if there's multiple files in here, I know what report came from where. going to keep first name. I'm going to keep last name. I'm going to keep email address. And then I'm going to keep mailing address, city. Boom. That's a lot manageable. So, one of the first things I noticed here is that not all of the emails are uppercased. So the names are all uppercase, but some of the emails are full uppercase or not, or just all lowercase. And if I don't have it exactly all in one specific case, it's going to throw off my um, conditional column. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to transform uppercase. That makes it a lot simpler. So now I'm going to build out my first conditional column. So here, if this, I'm going to name this column update email, update email. If column name email address does not contain at usmc dot whoops dot mil, then I want the output to be update. If it does, then good to go. So as you can see here, USMC is good to go, USMC good to go, Gmail needs to update, Outlook needs to update, Yahoo needs to update. So now for my second conditional column, I'm going to do this. Say update city. So if the mailing sitting address does not contain APO, I'm going to put the output as update. Else, good to go. All right, we see there's a little error up here, but let's investigate to make sure it's good. The rest of them, so far it's working. All right, here's the error because a null type can't, a logical type doesn't know what to do with anything that's null, which is one of the kind of the downfalls for just using conditional columns. That's why in this case a custom column would be better. But for now, I'm just going to go to a couple steps above. So, and just to kind of quickly fix that. So if I'm just going to do a simple replace values. Insert a step, that's cool. I'm going to find the null value and replace it with, so if the city address is null, then it needs to update. So I'm just put in all caps, needs to, or need to add city. Press OK. Then I'm going to go down, and now I don't have any errors here in my column. So now one of the last things I like to do is I like to rename my conditional my conditional columns. Reason why is because let's say you might have a lot of conditional columns, a lot of custom columns, and for someone else that's going to be viewing this report, it's just going to help them save time by not having to click through the gear icon here or to click through your advanced editor to see what the M code is saying. I just like to name it just for anyone later down the line can view this report or view this data and understand what's going on. So this conditional column here, so I'm going, the first one I'm going to name it, let's say update email column, keep it simple. And then the second one, I'm going to name it as update city. And I'd like to keep it in this case right here, just so it doesn't, so you don't have to use the quotes or the hashtag in the M code. So far so good with this report. I'm going to close and load. And this is the report right here. So now when new data comes in on a weekly, monthly, daily basis, all you have to do is drop it in that data folder, hit refresh, and all of the steps that we did in Power Query were update. So now we'll update the new reports. So now you can just go here, say, all right, I want to see who needs to update their their city or their email, and then so on with the city. So that's it for now. Uh, if you like this content, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know as well. Hope you like, hope you subscribe, and see you next week. Have a good day.